The big story coming in from the United States. 7 people have been killed in 2 separate shooting incidents in the state of California. The shooting took place in Half Moon Bay, northern California's agriculture region. Sheriff of the San Mateo County has confirmed the incident. Posting a tweet, he said that police officials are looking into the incident, which has claimed multiple lives and injured several others. The suspect is now in custody. However, it is not yet clear if both incidents are related. The 2 separate shootings took place in close proximity with one another. The suspect, 67-year-old Zhao Chun Li, was found in his car in the parking lot of a sheriff's office substation in Half Moon Bay. California Governor Gavin Newsom has condemned the latest shooting. In a tweet, he said, "At the hospital meeting with victims of a mass shooting when I get pulled away to be briefed about another shooting, this time in Half Moon Bay. Tragedy upon tragedy." The deadly incident took place days after the shootout in Southern California, where 11 people were killed after a 72-year-old gunman opened fire during Lunar New Year celebrations. Senior San Mateo County official has condemned the shooting. Dave Pine says that they are sickened by the tragedy. The people of California did not even have the time to grieve for the lives lost over the weekend and call for an end to gun violence. Meanwhile, 2 teenagers have been killed in a separate shooting incident in the state of Iowa. Police say this was a targeted shootout that took place at an alternative education facility designed to keep the youth out of trouble. 3 arrests have been made related to the Iowa shootings. And for more on this, we are now being joined by Glenn Carl, who is a former National Intelligence Officer from the CIA. Glenn, welcome to WION.
Thank you.
Tragedy upon tragedy. That's what the governor of California is saying. Just yesterday, there was a mass shooting in the same state. What's happening in America?
Well, I'm sorry to say that nothing new is happening in America. Since January 1st, there have been, by my count, 34 mass shootings in the United States. A mass shooting being defined as a shooting that kills 4 or more people. Every year, more people, or about as many people in the United States, are killed by handguns or firearms, as were killed in 12 years of fighting in Vietnam, Americans being killed. So what's noteworthy is that this is a routine part of American culture. It is a sick pathology. But we all can't avoid looking at shiny objects and glittering shock. And that's what's happening. But it's nothing unusual, I have to say.
Well, nothing unusual. That's quite a statement. The bigger tragedy here is gun violence continues to plague every state in the United States. Why is it taking so long for those involved to curb the menace? And in real sense, who is to blame for this epidemic?
Well, why is it taking so long? Because the political system is basically paralyzed, and the answer to who's responsible, I think, frankly, is pretty clear, and one now has to say the Republican Party, that is not controlled by, but strongly influenced by the National Rifle Association. This is, in American historic terms, a relatively new phenomenon, meaning it goes back to the 1970s. Until the 1970s, the National Rifle Association actually was a safety organization. Here is how one can join a shooting club for target practice and conduct oneself safely. But then it became, it was co-opted by an evangelical religious movement, literally. And ever since then, it has come to identify guns with freedom, which is, of course, a crazy link. But people believe what they are told to a large extent. All of us do. If a leader says that you should take bleach to fight COVID, as our ex-president crazily said, many people do it. And that's what's happening. There's a socio-psychological pathology which is dated to the 1970s for political reasons. It's obviously a tragedy, and that's why we're stuck.
Stuck indeed. Glenn, finally, you have worked in the CIA before. I'm just curious, have the intelligence agencies failed when it comes to spotting suspects or even avoiding such incidents?
Well, in this instance, it's not an intelligence agency issue. It is a law enforcement issue, which would be the FBI, which has intelligence functions. But it's a distinction perhaps people don't care about, but it's a real important one. And the reason is because there are 330 million Americans, but there are 385 million handguns and private firearms in the United States. There's more than one weapon per American living, and people have a legal right to own them, and people legally are allowed to buy as many weapons as they want. It is lunatic, but that is the law, and the FBI can't watch 330 million people. And as you know, it only takes one person to commit an atrocity, and if he's armed and angry or troubled, then people will die, and that's what happens every day. It is a sickening thing. You look in wonder and shock and disgust because you're sensible, and it's a social pathology in the United States. It's just shocking.
Shocking indeed. We'll have to leave that conversation there. I've been talking to a former national intelligence officer from the CIA, Glenn Carl. Glenn, thank you for talking to WION today. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.